crazy to think you don't see a black man in pain. You see an angry nigga, not a black man crying for change. And it's insane to think that time and time again we have to use our rational brains to make sense of these irrational things with no change. How can there be? The people who rule the world don't look like you and me and clearly can't see the storm clouds of injustice and the burning rains of inequality, melting the flesh of the country built on the backs of the people they hate most. It's crazy to think my skin color makes you cross the street, not to mention how I dress or how your heart starts to beat. And the only time you're comfortable is when I'm under a cop's feet, or better yet, his knee. See? It's crazy to think that the world hears an angry black man's cry. Meanwhile, in America, he still continues to die, and our women are screaming, and our children are asking why. So, do you want to tell them? Or should I? Justin White, A Black Man's Cry.
Together. She's a photographer and journalist, so we collaborate. We've been collaborating a lot. So
Well, this is not a beauty podcast. I cannot help you with
no,
that.
it's not. But
I have,
it's
however,
a podcast.
I have, however, been doing weekly beauty routines for myself, to keep myself young and vibrant. So,
Like what? Doing
man,
face masks and
man,
stuff.
like little face mask, exfoliating my skin, my head, deep
Listen,
conditioning my beard.
everyone needs to take care of themselves, no matter what, like race, gender, whatever.
Especially with this face
It's good
mask
to take
stuff
care of
going on.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, face masks are nice.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, The Misplaced American. I'm your host, Justin White. I have a good friend of mine, someone I used to work with a long, long time ago.
Not that long ago.
She was honestly, I think I think I met her at the bar. No, because you were coming to get coffee.
I
And
met you before we started working together.
yeah, and you were coming to get coffee, and you start talking. I was like, oh my God, she's American. But then she found out she's from Chirac.
Don't stop. Okay, no.
Do
Don't
you want to
call it
introduce
that.
yourself for the
That's
people who don't know you?
disrespectful. Hi, my name is Iman Ogundeko. I am what do I call myself? I don't know. I am currently studying in London. I am a beauty and lifestyle content creator. And yeah, I live here in London now. And what else would you like to know about me,
I mean,
Justin?
well, we can get into more about you as we progress through the podcast. So
Yeah.
I know I talked to you earlier. We say you're doing good mentally, spiritually, physically, everything feeling,
I mean, with everything going on, it's been a struggle. Like mentally, no. Like I'm fine now.
right.
I'm sure you can attest to this. Like 1 second you're fine, and then an hour later you'll read something that's triggering, and
Shut
get in your
down.
feelings. Yeah, you get shut down. So right now it's been a challenge. But overall I've been okay. Yeah, just trying to study right now. It's pretty much impossible because
So your main
of
purpose of
everything
being over
happening.
here is being a student.
It wasn't my main purpose when I moved here.
Mhm.
So I left Chicago in 2016, and I left basically to work at a company in Denmark, but it was kind of like a graduate scheme program, I guess.
Right.
So I was living in Denmark for 2 years, and a little bit of time in Amsterdam in between for the same company. But that was a 2-year program. So after that was done, I had to figure out if I wanted to go back to Chicago or if I wanted to go somewhere else. Um, excuse me. And I ended up deciding to come to the UK because I have tons of family here. I am actually a dual citizen. My mom is British, so I'm half British on my mom's side. And yeah, it just made sense for me to move because it's easy for me to move here. And I didn't feel like going back to Chicago. I wasn't ready to go back to the States. And so now I've been here for 2 years. I moved in 2018, the summer of 2018. So we'll be 2 years
Right.
soon. And I started working first. Well, I was unemployed for a few months, and then I found a job, and then I just wasn't happy with that job. And then I decided to go back to school, which was something that I had been thinking about for a while. And then, yeah, I got into school, and that's what I've been doing for the last, I don't know, 10 months maybe? No,
What are
less
you,
than that, 8 months,
what are
yeah.
you, what do you study? If you don't mind asking, what are you studying?
I'm studying brands, communication, and culture at Goldsmiths in London.
Above my head.
You're also in school too, though, no?
Well, yeah, I was. Well, I'm taking a break, but I'm doing my
Okay.
master's for well, it originally was gonna be for health education, but I'm taking a break for
Yeah.
like public health. But I'm taking a break from that with everything going on, and
Yeah.
I can't really focus on school right at the moment. But I can get into that
Yeah, it's hard.
afterwards. So I guess so. Do you prefer? Because we were talking before, and you prefer living overseas. I guess to us as Americans overseas. Uh, would you say you prefer living overseas rather than America, or it's just something that you enjoy doing in the end game? You kind of do want to go back to America.
Um, I guess is the question I get a lot. And to be honest, I can't say if I enjoy it more living overseas. It's always something that I wanted to do. When I was younger, I always envisioned that I would travel and I would live in different places. And I grew up coming to England in the summers. So I think that was kind of what got it started for me. So it was always something super exciting to go to England and see different places and different people. Um, I do like living overseas. I do miss Chicago though. I really do miss Chicago sometimes, and I miss the States sometimes. I mean, the food over there is
Yeah,
amazing.
the
You cannot compare the
yeah, the
food,
convenience. Like, yeah, I mean,
the
don't get me wrong.
convenience. Like you can find literally everything over there. Um, but I do feel overseas there's a lot less going on. I mean, there's issues with the UK, of course, but
Yeah,
there's a lot going on in the States. That's not why I left, but I guess when you leave and you then see it from like a bird's eye perspective, you really do see what's going on in the States and how many problems there are. And
it is
yeah.
something that I've I've noticed. Well, I tell people a lot. My friends in the States, they come up to me and they're like, "Oh, is it that bad in the UK, or are you guys must be really rough in Europe if considering America's that bad?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
it's such an American way of thinking because
Yeah.
I was like, you guys, like a lot of my friends have never left the States. And I was like, look, you guys are looking at it from
Mm.
like America's the best perspective. And I was like, and a lot of stuff in the States, like people in UK or Europe don't even think about or care about. And it's like whereas in America, everyone's like right now, I guess, upset and rioting and protesting, and people are doing that everywhere in the world, as you can see.
Yeah.
But only people in America think it's just them. Like everyone's like, I can't believe this is going on in America. America's so screwed. I'm like, well, guys, everyone everywhere is protesting, and for this cause.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Americans are like almost trying to like not selfish. What's the word? I can't think of the word. Own this protest. They're trying to like I guess almost make it seem like it's all about America. And it's something
Hmm.
I've been noticing about everyone that talks to me. And I tell everyone like
Hmm.
looking from the outside in, like we're a joke. Like it
Mm.
honestly God seems like people ask me, how do you feel about America? And I'm like, I almost don't want to talk about it because it just kind of
Yeah.
seems like we we have a president who considerably just
Oh, just don't even get started on.
he
I
constantly
won't
just
even say his name.
he just says things that just it's almost like it's like, do you have cue cards? And are you following these cue cards? Like it's at a certain point, just read. And then you have a guy running for president who apparently, if you don't vote for him, you're not black. So I'm not sure if you heard that story.
I haven't heard that story. Are you talking
So
about Biden?
yeah, Joe Biden goes on, I think, the Breakfast Club, or talks with Charlemagne the God, and
Hmm.
proceeds to say, I've been in the hoods, I've been to
Wait. Biden was on The Breakfast Club.
yeah, either the Breakfast Club
Oh
or just
wow.
a single, because I know Charlemagne the God does interviews with
Right,
political
right.
leaders. And so he goes, he's saying, he goes and like, and you hear Biden's like advisor like behind like, yo, shut up, shut up, shut up. And he goes like, I've been in the hoods, I've been to the ghettos, I've been through prison reform, I've seen, you guys struggle. And he's like, I'm gonna tell you something. If you can't decide who to vote for, whether me or Trump, then you ain't black. And for
I
people
don't.
in the UK who don't know, Joe Biden is like an 80-year-old white man. He was Barack Obama's vice president, and he
Hmm.
kind of just everyone made jokes and memes about him because he kind of always was in the background waving and showing support. It's fine, but now it's like wow, So who do you choose from? Like the enemy you know or the enemy you don't know? It's like someone
I
who
know
smiles in your face and stabs you in the back. I don't.
it's hard. And then I don't know if you've been hearing, but there's a lot of sexual allegations against Joe Biden as well, and that's another issue. I mean, of course, there's the same with Trump. You know,
Yeah. So it's like, who do you choose? Like, who do you pick from?
it's but I mean, the overt racism that Trump is doing right now is just
So
there's
needless to
no
say,
words.
you've seen the or been. I said, it's hard to follow, I guess, if you're a student and constantly doing homework. But are you a bit more up to date with, I guess, current events in America, like what's going on, and like how you like have you seen it or
Yes
have you
and no. Yes, I mean in terms of like the political economy, or in terms of like what the protests and
just like everything, like the whole, like I guess from the start of January, like to now, like it's people like constant, like the recent deaths, Ahmaud Arbery
oh yeah,
being hunted
yeah,
and
yeah,
shot,
of
the
course.
young lady, I'm gonna find her name in a second, the young lady being
Breonna Taylor, no?
shot, Breonna Taylor being shot in her house, while her
Mm-hmm.
husband or boyfriend
Mm.
it gets
Yeah, yeah,
sent to jail for defending his house for a wrongful raid. uh have you, so you've seen these and you know
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm
So
up
I
to date
guess
with
now
all
that you
that.
had time to process it calmly, or not calmly, time to process it, can you talk about your, I guess, initial reaction rather than like, and how does that make you feel now as like you seeing what's coming from it?
I mean, initial reaction, of course, is anger. Is why does this keep happening? As well as just yeah, sadness. And just like outrage, especially with George Floyd. I think it's just I don't know. I don't know how to. I still haven't been able to form well thought out sentences on how I feel, but it's terrible. And I also don't know if you heard about the other one with the bird watcher, and not that that ended in a death, but that was another one that
Oh,
happened just before George Floyd died,
the gentleman who, the white
with
lady, yeah.
yeah, Amy Cooper and the guy, I forget his name, but his last name was also Cooper, which was interesting. But I think that so that happened. No, at first it was what was the first one? Was it Ahmed?
Ahmad, I think it was Ahmad. I think
Ahmad.
he was,
And then
well,
it was
in the series of things that were reported, it was Ahmad, yeah.
yeah, so then it was Ahmad, it was Amy Cooper, and then it was George. So those all happened like very close together. So I think having all of that happen all at once was definitely it was a lot, and it still is a lot. But
Yeah, like it hurts because like
yeah,
you see, like you see it happen, and you see the video, and everyone always knows, you see a video, you only get the point where people will start recording.
right.
But no matter what was said or done prior to these situations happening, the result never fits what should or what could have happened, other than unless someone's like physically abusing you, harming you, threatening to kill, like actually actively trying to kill you. There's no reason for
Hmm.
any of these results to have ended the way they have ended.
No, of course not.
With the bird watcher, starting with that one.
Yeah.
Uh, it scared me because I thought about times where I've been in situations where I've had someone threaten to call the police on me, and it's a scary thought because as a black man in America, you immediately think like,
Hmm.
oh, the police gonna come. I'm gonna,
Exactly.
I could be shot,
Exactly.
and
And because she said that, she specifically said, I'm going to call and say there's a black man threatening me. She knew exactly what she was doing.
it's like,
And it's just,
like
yeah,
I did watch that video. I try to stay away from a lot of videos, just because I try to
yeah,
protect my energy, all that. But that video I watched, it kind of like rose my like anger a little bit. I didn't see the video. I saw images of the Ahmaud Arbery, him running through
yeah.
the street, and there's more
Hmm.
evidence on that. Apparently, he was hit by one of the cars that was following. He was called racial slurs. Apparently, like, all this is
I
coming out
didn't know
now.
that.
Yeah, this
I
like
didn't
I
know
was just
that.
reading it this morning.
That same day or beforehand?
This was all happening at the
Okay.
same time. He was hit by the car. Apparently, he was called racial slurs. Either I think it was right before he was shot. So it's like this wasn't just a
Mm.
get about, like this wasn't a we're protecting the neighborhood, whatever they said they were doing. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I saw that one. Uh, that one kind of hit me deep because
Hmm.
I've been, like I said, being from someone being an American, Black American guy who was normally in places and areas, situations where I am the only black guy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And or neighborhoods. I couldn't imagine like just going through a neighborhood and apparently he was looking through a abandoned house. Which, if anybody's ever been anywhere with an abandoned house, I've been in abandoned houses before. I think it's cool. I think I'm like, oh, this is interesting. What are they doing?
Yeah, of course.
And apparently he was an electrician. Apparently he just finished electrician training. So he could have,
Okay.
in all possibility, I'm not speculating. He could have just been looking, trying to figure out like, oh, I just finished this. Let me see if I can like recognize anything.
Yeah.
But anyways, then it came back to like the whoever owned the lands, like, oh, nothing was stolen, nothing was broken. I checked everything, like nothing
Mm-hmm.
happened. So blatantly, it was literally just he was unfamiliar face, an unfamiliar black face in a white neighborhood, and
Right.
I've been there. So like that set heavy with me because I was like, this could have been me. I could have been
Yeah.
jogging through a predominantly white neighborhood, and somebody thought I was stealing something, and
Yep.
decided to play neighborhood watch and take my life into their own hands.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you said the Breonna Taylor. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't imagine like
I just,
me and my wife or girlfriend sleeping, and then all of a sudden someone just kicks down my door, and I try to defend myself, and then I get arrested for defending myself and my late house
yeah.
like wife or like.
I know. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of videos too, and I actually watched a video last night that showed before George Floyd was, physically restrained on the ground. And I mean, he was not resisting at all, at all. You see the car is, I guess, pulled over. He was with friends, which I didn't realize he was with two people. And the police car came and I guess just asked them all to step out of the car, out of the vehicle. The two friends weren't handcuffed or anything. They just went to the side. And for some reason, I guess George was driving the car.
Mhm.
He became handcuffed. They put him on the ground, but he wasn't resisting at all. He was confused. You could see in his face, and he was like, "Why are you guys doing this?"
As anyone would
And
be.
then they took him to the other side of the street, and then the video ended where you could see they put him on the ground, and then that was it. But yeah, it's just hard to believe, like, what did he do for that to have happened, especially when he wasn't resisting arrest. He was just confused. And the fact that his this white officer put his knee on his neck for how long? 9 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was like 8 minutes 46 seconds, something like that. They said, and
I
he's
just
restrained, like can't do anything. So,
Yeah.
so I guess as you being a younger black woman, and
Yes.
being I would call you cultured. You've traveled the world. You've traveled the world. You're pretty educated.
I haven't
Uh,
traveled the world yet. I've traveled to some places.
I mean, you've essentially seen more than I want to say 90% of America. You know, uh, but I, does that make you feel anything like other than like, oh, obviously other than rage? Like what is like what would be your initial like what was your initial reaction seeing all these unfold like almost like a book, literally chapter after chapter is another
Mhm.
wrongful death. And luckily the George Floyd situation is it looks like so this is going to come to a good result for well not a good the result needs to be happen, it needs to happen, but everything else kind
Mhm.
of seeming like nothing happens. And then previously in previous years, same thing happening where wrongful death, wrongful arrest, and then oh, sorry
Yeah.
about that, and nothing happens. Like, how does that,
Nothing
as a
happening.
young black educated female, how does that make you feel? Like knowing that you're from this country, and at any point in time, if you go back, you're no longer just a young black educated female. You could be considered a potential risk or a statistic.
Yeah, it makes me feel really sad. It makes me feel hopeless and frustrated. But I do want to preface that I am a mixed race Black woman. I am a lighter skinned Black woman, and I have the privilege of being that. And I know that that comes with its own experiences. Because that's one thing that I've been seeing a lot of is a lot of mixed race people speaking out and a lot of people commenting on that. Um, So I own that. I own that I have privilege, and I know that I am seen as like the more acceptable version of a Black
Ooh,
person.
okay.
Um, so I know that I have different experiences from you and my dad and other Black people, Black women, but I've had my own experiences too. Um, I've been in rooms where I'm literally the only person of color, the only Black person. I, have had things said to me and all of that. So that's not to say I still don't feel anger towards everything going on. I feel so much anger, especially knowing it could be my family members, it could be my friends, it could be you, it could be anybody that we know that it's,
It's
that's Black.
and it's funny
So
you can say that you can actually say, excuse me, without like hesitation. Like I have the privilege of being uh,
yeah,
a more acceptable color in the eyes of
yeah,
America, in the eyes of the world,
yeah,
because the word privilege has been thrown around a lot more lately,
yeah,
and it seems like I don't want to keep like race baiting and saying white, black, but
right.
a lot of people have been like upset with the idea or saying, oh, like, oh, privilege is an insulting word. It's basically you calling me the N word. And all I could think in my head, like, it's like ringing through my head. I was like, imagine the privilege you have to be upset to be called privilege. Imagine being told you have the upper hand in something, and you arguing with someone saying, no, I don't, as you look down on them and saying this. Like,
Yeah, it's because they're not aware. They're literally not aware of their own privilege. And even me, it's taken until now. Even I remember a few years ago, I probably never even thought about the fact that I have privilege as a light-skinned Black woman. I remember a Black woman, called me out on it. She was, we were having a conversation, and she was saying, "You look like the person that that you have light skin privilege," and that was the first time I was like, "Oh shit, I do have light skin privilege, and I need to own that, and I need to say that." But at the same time, I'm still a Black woman. I'm still a person of color, and when white people see me, they see me as a Black woman and a person of color. Um,
you know what? This is something completely off a tangent. This is something that I've actually never, I don't think I've ever, talked about. Because growing up in school, there was no the funny, high school light skin, dark skin wars. Like light skin people look like this, or dark skin people look,
yeah.
those kind of
Come
jokes.
on, you think of Drake and how he's
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about like.
and so it's like, but in the Black community, it's almost, it shouldn't be, but it's almost an acceptable, like, joking thing to do.
Mm,
But I never thought of it like, in the world, whereas like you could go, I get thinking about it, like it almost does seem like darker skin seems more threatening. So almost like the darker
mhm,
your skin, the more threatening you are.
mhm.
And yeah, I never, wow, I never actually thought of it that way. Like it's kind of blown my
Yeah,
mind now because that's wild.
yeah, yeah,
So, so you just kind of threw me off on a tangent there. That's nice. So have you
yeah.
seen, so you've obviously seen the response, because you obviously live in London, so you obviously
Yeah,
know what's going on in London. But this is like
yeah,
the response to George Floyd is happening everywhere in the world, and this
everywhere.
could be because they just want attention. It could just be, country people just saying things. But I genuinely believe, just like, Americans do, pray for X country when something happens. I
Yeah,
genuinely believe other people are seeing like, wow, America's really messed up. And even but and so have you seen like those results? Like it's like Japan,
yes.
Australia.
I just saw Japan protesting yesterday, and I was shocked because Asia has their own
Hmm.
history with Black people. I mean, even now with coronavirus, how Black people were treated in China is just despicable. But yeah, I've been seeing protests all over the world. In all 50 states, we've had protests, which is
Hmm.
first time in history, which is incredible.
Amazing.
I think they said in 18 countries. But what did you say? You said that, yeah, I guess for the first time, everyone is speaking up, but also because not just to show support for the states and everything that's happening in the states, but because it's happening in their country too, and people are tired of it. People are saying in the UK, "Oh, that doesn't happen here. Like that's not us." No, it happens in the UK, and we are tired of it now, and we're going to protest now because this happens to us. It happens all over the world, and this has to stop. So I think it's amazing that now everyone is protesting, because and calling each other out. I just saw the Hassan Minaj, is that his name? Hassan Minaj? Do you know the South Asian comedian he talks about a lot of political things. He has a
No.
Netflix show, I forget what it's called, but he's hilarious. But he made a video talking about racism within South Asian and Asian cultures,
Mm.
basically calling these cultures out for, racism within their own cultures. You should watch it; it's really good.
What's it called?
But I'm gonna look it up right now. His name is Hassan Minaj. I think that's how you say his
Okay.
name. It's on his Instagram. It's HASANMINAJ, something like this.
But
But
so
yeah,
yeah, so I will say the same. I enjoy seeing all these people protest because we talked about before previously, when we used to work together, previous generations didn't discuss issues. They just let issues happen. And then when it went away, they brushed it under the rug and like, all right, on to the next one. And it was easy for them because they didn't have social media. They didn't have it constantly in your face. They didn't have a phone constantly in their hands to see things.
yeah,
Whereas us, we can't ignore stuff. It's out there. And for
exactly.
people to uh, constantly say, "Oh, like get over it. This is just the media." This isn't just the media. Like it's people are actually like non-reporters, civilians are actually pulling their phones out and recording situations in the world and showing you, like put
Yeah.
it on Facebook, put it on Instagram,
Hmm.
like this is happening in the world. And for people to constantly brush it off or say, "Oh, this isn't representation of everyone," or this isn't something that's happening everywhere. It's unfair to the people who it is happening to.
Yeah.
I constantly get the the argument, it, everyone matters, all lives matter, this and that, and
Yeah.
and the hashtag starts to get popular because everyone's like, oh yeah, all lives matter, and it takes away from the issue of at that moment. I'm telling you, Black Lives Matter because Black lives are being unjustly taken, accused, and ridiculed and blamed for things that they they technically just did not or have not done or didn't deserve. And so,
Yeah.
when you see the hashtag All Lives Matter, and then it's like a million people following it, and then all of a sudden you see like your coworker, your friends, your family, you know, uh, following or hashtagging All Lives Matter. It's almost it causes a divide, which
Yeah.
almost is scary because again, back when our parents were younger or previous generations, they could simply just stay in their circle. They didn't have to see or hear things. They could just something would happen, or you hear so and so got this happened to so and so. Like, oh my god, it's so bad. Let's pray, and they get in a circle, pray, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Whereas now we can say, oh, you haven't heard it happen to so and so, and you can Google it, and then you'll see all the good and the bad responses.
Hmm.
So our generation isn't allowed to, and it's not fair for people to tell our generations to ignore it, get over it, because we can't just ignore and get over it. You have to have a phone now. There's no possible way you can make it through life without a phone. Like I'm sorry,
Yeah.
unless your job is like I don't know, unless your job is sleeping all day, you have to have a phone in your hand. And
Yeah.
and for people to tell me constantly like, oh, maybe just take a break from your phone. And no, I take mental breaks from social media, but you still
Yeah.
see things like with your friends who text you, still see things. Have you heard about so and so?
Hmm.
So I love the fact that I'm seeing across the world, everyone's coming together. China or Japan or New Zealand can see that a black man was wrongfully killed and immediately just go into a protest because,
Yeah.
and then they see that Trump or his supporters don't agree with our protest. So you know what they do? They protest more.
Yeah.
Maybe they're protesting because they don't like Trump, which, hey, does,
There actually have been, I guess, anti-Trump protests, but that has nothing to do. I mean, it does in a way, but that's not what we're
yeah, and
focusing on
I'm
right
not
now.
blaming Trump for the killing of innocent black lives. That's something I'm doing. I'm not a political. This isn't a political podcast. I'm not a political person. Um, but I don't. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into Trump. But yeah, but it's just in general. Like I feel like it's such a positive. It makes me happy. And even living here, I'm not sure if you even have had this yet. I have so many friends like here. Like I meet every single day. Message me. And like they're like doing it like, oh my god, I see what's going on in America. Are you okay? Like I'm sorry this is happening.
Hmm.
I'm sorry I haven't said much. I'm not very educated. I'm trying to learn. and it like makes me want to cry. I'm like tearing up now thinking about it because I get so many
Yeah,
messages every single day. My best friend,
it's
she
really
messages
good.
me and she asks me, she's like, "Hey, I just want to make sure this okay. Like, do you have anything you could
Yeah.
read? Do you have anything you know?" I had one friend recently tell me she messaged me. She's like, "Hey, I posted something on Facebook. Can you tell me if it sounds offensive?" One of my friends got kind of offended. I'm not sure why. She lives in London and it's about the
Mhm.
protest. And
Mhm.
how she worded it, I knew what she meant because I know her. I knew what she meant, but
Mhm.
she responded out of immediate knee jerk reaction rather than
Yeah.
so instead of responding with empathy or yeah. So it was like along the lines of, excuse me, like she was like almost blaming the angry people for protesting and burning things down and rioting.
Oh, we've had a lot of people saying that same thing.
And so,
I've
but
been seeing that a lot.
and then at the end of it, it turned into, but it was really sad to happen with George Floyd. I was like, hey, why don't you rearrange those words? I was
Start
like, yeah,
start that. Yeah, exactly.
start with
Exactly.
saying like, no, this is a really what happened to George Floyd is unacceptable, and I understand the reason why people are upset and angry, and I'm ashamed that it has to come to the point of rioting rather than blaming people for their anger of rioting.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
and I told her, I was like, and I tell anyone, any of my British white friends who are afraid to speak up or say anything, but if you see something you don't agree with, take a second. You have to take a day. Don't post a knee jerk reaction because you
Yeah.
have people listening. And I'm speaking to white people all across the world if they're listening. The world right now, especially the black community, is your black friends are you're under microscope right at this moment. With the sensitivity and the climate, everything going on, you're under a microscope. And it's not, is it fair? No, but you are. So anything you say, whether it be good or bad, is going to be scrutinized. So before you post anything, because you're angry, think about how this is going to make someone else feel. Think about how angry someone else is about the thought of them losing their son, daughter, child, my wife, husband, and then post it or don't post it.
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm not sure if anyone's messaged you asking you if are you okay.
Yeah, I've had people message me. So I'm quite active on Instagram on my other account. I have another like beauty and lifestyle account that I post on. And I've been very, very active on that account, sharing things on stories and whatnot. And I've had a lot of people, yeah, reach out to me, a lot of white friends, a lot of black friends, mixed race friends, reach out as well. So it is really nice to see the effort is there. It's just sad that it's taken this long. Um, it's really, really sad that it's taken this long. But
But you're happy they're trying or they're
yeah,
attempting.
yeah, exactly. And something that's really interesting coming from like I'm not an influencer,
Right.
but I'm very active on Instagram. I create content. And right now, there's a lot going on Instagram. There's a lot of calling brands out. There's a lot of calling big people with big platforms out that aren't saying anything.
Mhm.
Um, there's just a lot of conversations going on Instagram, and yeah, it's very interesting to see what's happening. A lot of big, not even just big, but a lot of Black content creators, influencers, what have you, are now getting an influx of white followers, and it's a weird feeling. I'm experiencing it too. I think I've had like 300 followers in the last few days, all white, not all white, but majority white. And it's a weird feeling because it feels like they're overcompensating. Um, but at the
But
same time, it's nice to have them there. It's nice to see that they realize what's going on, what's
yeah,
wrong with
and you
what's
have the
happening.
opportunity to educate some, if it's just one person, you've now changed that one person's life, and that one person can change a
Yeah,
generation. So, you know,
yeah. Yeah, so it's a lot. Definitely have to take social media breaks because there is a lot of information going out. It's like constantly having information in your face every second,
mhm.
seeing different things, seeing videos, yeah, it's a lot. But it makes me happy to see that people are now coming together and fighting for, the humanization of Black people, of the Black community. And yeah, I don't know where this is going to go, but it's going somewhere.
Do you think, so I guess on that, what do you think would be, like, in your personal opinion, what do you think would be the next major, like, step, to like control, kind of like, not control, but have someone, I guess, a focal point in America to make something make sense. Because as of right now, it just kind of seems like not senseless, but it seems like a bit uh derail, a bunch of like trains just going for full speed, and it's like no direction. It's just the trains are just going full speed until they're gonna crash, like till both trains crash and everything in America is gonna fall apart. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. It's like you have extremes on each side, just kind of reaching a point, reaching a boiling point, and pretty soon this is gonna crash. So what would you say would
Yeah.
be, in your opinion, the big step to make America, like, all right, this is our focal point. We're gonna funnel into this, and then we're gonna try to merge together.
Oh, that's such a heavy question.
Oh, we're
Such
getting
a
heavy on a Friday morning.
big
Let's do it.
a big question. I I think it I think one of the main things it comes down to is demilitarizing the police, um, and just taking away all of that, not taking away all of their power, but taking away a lot of their power and a lot of their funding. I feel like that's a big issue that gets so much funding and so much power. So I think that definitely is part of it. And voting, we need to get these people out of office, the wrong people. We need to vote locally. We need to vote more competent leaders. Um, I think that's another part of it. And God, I don't know. I don't know what else. I'm not super political, so I'm still
Oh, yeah,
learning
no,
about
no,
all
no,
of
no, no.
this
Yeah, yeah.
too.
This is like,
But
this
I
isn't, and
think,
this isn't a political podcast.
yeah,
Like, by no means. My podcast is about traveling and meeting people and doing new things. But
yeah,
I have a platform, and I feel the need to use it responsibly. Uh,
yeah, of course.
that
No
being,
matter how small or big it is, you need to
yeah,
speak out. But yeah, I think for sure it comes down to how police have so much power. It's too much.
and it's something, out of all my logical reasons of thinking, like, what could be happen, what could happen, what can be done to help. I never thought of police power being one of them, honestly. I I
Yeah.
never thought of that, and now I'm looking at it, and I've been seeing a lot of. I'm not sure if you follow it. A lot of I think two states have already, or two areas have like taken millions from the
Mm-hmm.
police and donated it to
Exactly. Yeah.
organization, or they've taken
Yeah.
away, they passed laws now saying like pretty much the police can be held accountable. Like they're no longer being protected by the court. Like they can be
Right.
held
I mean, that's what we're
accountable.
seeing now. All
Yeah,
four policemen are being held accountable for George Floyd's murder. But I mean, I'm still learning more about this and I'm still reading because like I said, I don't know a lot about politics, but I've been reading that the police force is highly, highly, highly funded, and that just has to stop. Yeah, it just has to stop.
I think one of my go ahead.
Um, no, go ahead. I
No,
was just going to ask your opinion.
I think one of my bigger reasons, or one of my bigger, I think to me would be have someone, like I said, like you said, a leader, but have someone that people trust, people know,
Hmm.
and that has a well spoken voice, and that doesn't promote, or like has an image of, doesn't promote hate or violence. Have someone that is going to be there, that wants to bring people together, and like have that
Yeah.
person has like, hey, I'm going to be your voice. I'm going to be your mouthpiece. I'm going to speak for the
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why voting locally, like making sure your local
movement.
leaders are people that are for the people, that's crucial because when we have a president like the one that we have, yeah, there's not much you can do, but you need to have those like local leaders that know what they're doing.
Even like the George, the Mad Dog Mattis, the guy, the secretary, old secretary, previous secretary of defense, when he who worked directly with Trump, and anyone in the military knows, like, this guy knows this stuff, and he's a trustworthy person. When he talks badly against the leader of a country, the guy who he worked for, who gave him his job, and he quit because he just could
Yeah,
not
I
handle
know.
uh, what he stood for. When he speaks out against, like, when he says the president is causing a divide, like his whole sole purpose is to cause a divide. And he's
Mm,
like, he never in his life has he ever seen a president that
hmm.
willingly wants to cause a divide.
Hmm.
Like,
When Piers Morgan, Piers Morgan, he is
mhm.
known for saying very controversial things. He's even speaking out against what's happening and everything. I mean, we really need to just get these allies on our side, these white allies on our side, and really just help this fight. This is not this shouldn't be our struggle anymore. This shouldn't be our fight anymore. We need to have these people fighting for us, with us, just taking the lead because We can't do it on our own.
Oh, it's it is so refreshing though, seeing a lot. Previously, before I used to see a lot of my white friends. I use that word loosely. Uh, you know, Black Lives Matter, no, all lives matter, everyone matter, or like not protesting
Yeah.
and not supporting. But lately, it's been like an influx, like of
Yeah.
just like everyone, just like, nah, this is messed up. Like we're not agreeing with this. Like this isn't happening. And
Yeah.
I have like white friends who message me, it's like, I'm going to a protest this weekend. I'm like, good for you, like like
They
get
are
up,
the ones that should be at the protest, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
And
They should be at the protest. It shouldn't be just Black people. It should be more white people protesting, especially because right now with the pandemic, how the Black community is more affected by the coronavirus disease and everything. They're more at risk for putting themselves out in the protests. So
don't get me started on that. Oh my
I
gosh.
don't even know what to process right now. It's a pandemic, it's a revolution. Like, we've
It's
forgotten about the pandemic, though. I mean, not really, but kind of.
it's but you know what though, it's I don't want to say it's a nice break, and nothing's nice about this, but it's this is definitely a big distraction from the pandemic. Uh,
Yeah,
and then not a good distraction by no means, but
no,
it's definitely a distraction. But it's almost, it puts things into perspective. If people are willing to risk their lives and families' lives to go step march in the street and to tell the world, like, we're not going to allow you to keep killing innocent people. Like that is what
yeah,
that's what you need. Like I mean,
yeah,
and I don't condone wrong. I'm not condoning or I'm not damning protests, riots, looting. I'm not for or against either. Um, I understand their rage, and
hmm,
I support protest, and I support people expressing their rage any way
hmm,
possible that they can make themselves or make their message stand out.
hmm,
Um, but yeah, for people to want to just willingly just hold hands, lock arms in a time where we got told to not even be near people, to speak a message saying like, hey, I'm not going to stand for you killing my cousins, killing my friends, killing my relatives. This is,
hmm,
it's a big thing in
hmm.
my lifetime. I've never seen something this big.
No, I
I
don't
talked to
think
my
any of
parents.
us.
Yeah, I talked to my parents and my grandparents, and well, my grandma and my mom, and my dad, and they're fine. Like mentally, I was like, "Are you guys okay?" Like blah blah, isn't that? And they're
They're
fine.
fine.
And
Yeah,
I was like, and I asked why, and they're like, basically, they've been through this. Like they've seen this before. Like this is
mm,
nothing new under the sun. What was
hmm.
it? Jim Crow was not even 60 years ago,
I know.
60, 70 years ago.
Yeah,
Like this is nothing new for grandparents and parents over like 50, 60 years old. No,
yeah.
they've seen segregated
They've
water fountain.
exactly. Yeah,
They've
they've
seen this
lived
all.
through it. They've lived
So
through it.
it makes me sad to know that that you know they went through everything they went through: water hoses, dogs, lynchings, wrongful accusations, to see it all happen all over again, almost like a full circle. But you know,
I know.
they're better equipped mentally to deal with this than a generation of people who grew
Who've
up,
never, yeah,
who grew up literally being cuddled and shielded from the world, and all of a sudden now we're being thrown into this situation where
yeah.
I'm essentially being told that my life doesn't matter.
Hmm.
The world we're
Yeah.
in. But
Yeah. 2020 has been, whew, 2020 said this is going to be the year that the world changes.
it started with, it started with like the fires and it seems like so long ago
Was that
that
this year? I thought that was last year.
yeah,
Gosh, I
exactly.
don't even know.
Australia was on fire at the start of the year.
Oh, yeah,
like,
you're right. That was the start of the year.
and
See, that feels
it
so
seemed
long
like
ago.
years ago, but because of so much that happened, Kobe died. Oh my God, I cried. I
Yeah.
cried.
Lots and lots of stuff this
Like,
year. This
but yeah,
year
I don't
is,
want to get too negativity. And I know you say you have schoolwork. I know you have schoolwork and you're a busy adult. Uh, but I do hope, like I said, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you're doing well.
and for you, of course, you is the same to you.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to me.
Of course. It's been a
Hopefully
pleasure.
hope this lockdown is over soon. I'll come to London, hang out, get coffee or tea or
Yeah,
whatever.
let's see what happens with the lockdown. I feel like there's definitely going to be a second influx of
What, what,
virus
what
of cases.
I think they're gonna lie about it because Boris, whatever his name is, didn't want to fire homeboy for. having coronavirus, then traveling across
That's
the
that's
country.
that's another that's another topic for
Again,
discussion.
not
Yeah.
political, but that was funny. I'm not. I swear, Boris is a supervillain. I watch him talk, and I'm like, how do
You
people believe?
can't watch him talk. I can't watch him talk because he sounds so stupid.
He legit sounds like a supervillain telling you his scheme like the whole time. And then like when his little doctor's beside him, they're like, he's like, you can't talk. I'm like, oh shoot, like,
Oh
are y'all
goodness.
okay? But
Yeah.
but yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Everyone listening, I'm gonna add her information on Instagram for Instagram, or I don't know if I'm not sure if you have a YouTube or anything, but
I don't have a YouTube, no,
but
but
yeah,
I'll share my Instagram account with the other account that I have, which I'm more active on.
yeah, I will put that in the description box. She's very cool, very informative individual. But
I'm
everyone,
trying. I'm not the most.
how about this? We can all learn together.
Yeah.
But I hope everyone has a good day, night, afternoon. Be blessed and make good choices.